Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever, whenever you're listening to the show. Welcome. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, welcoming you to episode 339 of Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. I am your Patrick Come Lately, British by birth, American by choice, and very proud of it. And we are exactly 4 weeks away from the election. I know with the last election I said this is probably the most important one that we were going to have. This one very definitely exceeds it in importance. Two major reasons. One, we have a candidate that a lot of the elitists, a lot of the establishment don't want, who has a lot of good ideas to get this country going again, against a candidate who basically wants to keep the status quo, which is corruption, cronyism, etc. And number two, for me, one of the most important things, whatever our candidate may have said or even done, he hasn't killed anybody, number one. And number two, he's going to make much better choices for the Supreme Court. But the establishment won't have that, and they're doing everything they can. And as you will see from the title of the show tonight, not 3 against 1, but 33,333 against 1. And that 333333 is just an estimate. It could be 300,000 against 1. So many people that are just doing everything they can to get rid of Trump, basically. Now, I want to say hi to Rex, who just joined in the chat room. Thank you for coming, Rex. And see my post on Facebook about your phone number. I will be in touch. Anyway, on to topic number one. And of course, I have to make a comment on the debate. Donald Trump finally found his footing and slammed Hillary throughout the debate, even though she was also constantly lying. And he did that in spite of being assailed by both her and the moderators, which is where obviously the not 3 against 1 comes from, because a lot of people commented that it was like a cage fight, but 3 against 1. So not that, but indeed, sorry, I'm getting wrapped up in my cables here. But not just that. So in spite of everyone agreeing that he had an excellent night, Sunday night, even yesterday to a certain extent, I heard today the elitist lamestream media started propagating revisionist history propaganda. Yes, according to a scientific poll, Anyway, they said they took a scientific poll and it was Hilaire who won the debate. Well, talk about a revisionist history. The polls are revisionist. This is revisionist. So don't forget, folks, it was Goebbels who said that if you make the lie big enough, everyone will believe it. So I'm not going to talk very much more about the debate. But I do have something else I want to discuss, and it kind of extends from what I said last week when I talked about how the previously stealth bias of the media had changed to open bias. And over the last week, what I said became even worse. We really have seen how the regressives have thrown the full force of their efforts to bring down Donald Trump, by hook or by crook, and most of it by the latter. And notice I used the word regressives, not leftists. That's because regressives include anyone supporting the so-called progressive agenda, which includes big government, nanny state, crony capitalism, and blatant elitism. And believe me, those traits extend on both sides of the aisle. So just before the debate on Friday, there was the release of the infamous hot mic video. Suddenly, a bunch of cowardly rhinos took to the airways, decrying Trump's word and dropping support, endorsements, even their votes for the Donald. Now, what Trump said was not good and should never be condoned. But Trump himself apologized profusely, including before and during and even after the debate. Many of those that are acting so holier than thou profess to be practicing Christians. Do Christians not believe in forgiveness? Instead of running for the hills, they should have shown some backbone. They should have stood up and said what Donald Trump did was wrong, but he has apologized. We accept that apology and will continue to support him for two reasons. Firstly, the alternative has done far worse, both the candidate and especially her spouse. Secondly, once he is elected, we will stand close and we will hold his feet to the fire to ensure that nothing like this ever happens again. They should have been positive about it and not just run for the hills like so many of them did. On top of that, this makes me very, very angry, is a rumor that I heard that the GOP, led by Paul Cowardly Ryan, had been informed about the pending release of that video a day or two before it happened. But they never informed the Trump campaign. Well, that's supporting your candidate. It just goes to show, folks, that these elitists in DC don't give a fig about us. All they're concerned with is their own power, their own benefits, their own money that they're raking in up there in Washington, and they don't give a rat's ass about any of us. Now, all these rhinos that have started screaming and saying, oh, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that, these cowardly hypocrites seem to forget that there is much more at stake than just whether our candidate is a little rough around the edges. Is he perfect? No, he's not perfect. We've said that all along. Is she perfect? She is definitely less than perfect by a significant factor, 100, 1,000, maybe even 100,000 times more than Trump. But nobody seems to worry about that. And that's because the Democrats all pull together. They don't air their dirty linen in public. Now, should we be open and transparent? Yes, we should. But if the other side is not being so, aren't we just shooting ourselves in the foot? If we don't follow our leader, the regressive rhinos in the GOP seem to think that we can get through the next 4 years and then take over with one of their chosen elitists. A lot of rumors flying around that the chosen one would be Mike Pence in 2020. Are they really so dumb? Are they really so stupid? I mean, to me, it seems very obvious, and they don't seem to realize this. It seems very obvious there are two very good reasons why they probably will not have a snowball's chance in hell of getting into power. First of all, there's the fact that the grassroots are fed up with their unfilled promises. And so I think that's likely to be the end of the GOP as a strong party. Even now, even if Donald Trump makes it in, it's going to be hard to rebuild the party with grassroots people, because that's where the party needs its good foundation. Donald Trump's been campaigning on the fact that the Democrats use the black and Hispanic minorities by pandering to them during the campaign, and then forgetting them once they're elected and hidden away in D.C. Well, isn't this exactly what a lot of the GOP do to us as well? Look how we elected Tea Party favorites in 2010, 2014, giving the GOP majorities where there hadn't been them, increasing their majorities. The party then subsumed these legislators, neutered them, and it was back to business as usual. And of course, what is that business as usual? It's letting the regressives on the left get their way with whatever is put forward, even when we held majorities in both parts of the Congress. That sickens me. Another item that the regressive rhinos seem to forget, and I just can't understand why they can't see this as well. If Hillary's elected, she will be allowed to stack the SCOTUS, and believe me, she will do that, somewhere between 3 and 5 justices. And based on our experience to date, the GOP senators will only give lip service to blocking any of her radical appointees. So then the open borders and amnesty policies of the evil wicked witch will ensure that the Republicans cannot get elected in a congressional majority or to the White House for the next 50 to 100 years. Like in Europe, our choice will be limited to left and extreme left. But these dinosaurs, and I think dinosaurs is the right term there, cling to their perceived power, because it's only perceived power, right? All the puppet masters behind the scenes, George Soros pulls the strings. They're staying on in DC for far longer than is normal. Where else do you have so many people over the retirement age trying to fool us? Of course, only at election time that they're making a difference. Why do they hold on for so long? Well, probably because DC thinks, because DC has become one big country club with all sorts of benefits for its members. They think they have all the power, but all they have is the power to lord it over, in their opinion, the great unwashed masses outside the Beltway. Another benefit is to take what is already a generous salary and multiply it many, many times through influence peddling. It's probably the most power that they actually have. Anyway, I see that it's time for a commercial. Folks, I'm going to take a commercial and take a beer as well while I'm about it, one of my historical beers again tonight. And I will be back after these messages. Hopefully I remember to turn off the mute so you don't enjoy the beer along with me.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
You're listening to Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patriotcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, folks, that's that first commercial. So we're into the second quarter of the show, and let's see. Make a small change here and go back to the title of tonight's episode, right? The 3 against 1 I mentioned earlier refers to the comments made by numerous people on Facebook about the moderators basically joining with Hilaire in attacking the Donald. But of course, as I said before, add in all the lamestream media, the left-wing bloggers, the regressive GOPers, the never-Trumpers, you will have at least 33,333 against him, and maybe it's 333,000. Who knows? All this relentless hammering on the candidate has an effect on him, and also some on those who support him, and especially on the undecided, low-information voters who look what is going on and say, well, he must be bad because everyone, at least everyone that they hear, is saying it. The effect it has on Trump, I can imagine, is also very stressful. And of course, when you get under stress, you don't always necessarily make decisions the right way. Some of his tweets today have been, I think, a little negative against the GOP, kind of closing the door on perhaps further cooperation. I think he's been wronged by the GOP, and I think he's perfectly justified in doing it. But is this the right time to be doing it? I'm not sure. Of course, after November the 8th, if he loses because of all the shenanigans of the GOP, and that's basically where I'll lay the blame, he could then holler as much as he wants. Nobody's going to listen to him at all. So everybody on the left, the regressives, the regressive GOPers, etc., they're all talking bad about him. And it's in the same way that the regressives brought down Sarah Palin through innuendo, lies, misrepresentation, and pure harassment. In the same way, they brought down Mitt Romney through innuendo, lies, and misrepresentations. The grassroots voters of America are being denied their opportunity to select their chosen candidate, not through a battle of policies and facts, but through mud-raking and lies. And it won't stop. It's going to go through to November 8th. If you watched the debate, did any of you notice that Anderson Cooper, after asking the charged question about Trump's video, interrupted Trump 3 times, asking, "Will you say that what you said is words only and that you never acted this way?" He kept hammering on at this. After the 3rd time, the Donald begrudgingly said, "Yes, I never did anything like that." Now, to me, it is pretty obvious that Anderson Cooper had been instructed to ask that question, directly or indirectly, by the Clinton campaign. Right? They could have informed the management at the Clinton News Network, or they may have talked to him directly. And I think it's quite obvious, and I will predict this, why they did that. They almost certainly have some airhead ready to step up to the mic 1 or 2 days before the final debate to say that he forcibly kissed her, he groped her, or something like that. And whether or not it's true will not matter, since the time it would take to dig up the facts, find out the background of the lady, etc., will exceed the time between the accusation and the final voting on November 8th. Think about it, folks. Basically, it's just like Herman Cain was dragged down and then gave up. But after in-depth research, it turned out that everything that he'd done around the lady in question was all above board. So I hate to sound negative, but unless we can pull off a huge miracle and motivate and mobilize all those excited people that go to his rallies, and that times 10, times 20, times 30, times 100, whatever it takes, the only chance we have is to get everybody out to the voting booth, because otherwise Trump's going to be doomed to lose, and not because of his, in my opinion, good policies, but once again because of the low, dastardly way that the regressives run campaigns. I was shocked, well, not shocked, I should say, but I noticed that Hillier had the temerity in the debate to say something about when they go low, we go high. Hillier lying again. It's much more like when they go low, we go lower. And actually, most of what has occurred in terms of these personal attacks have come in the first instance from her campaign. As Donald Trump says, he punches back, but he doesn't normally throw the first punch. So Hillary says, when they go low, we go higher. But as I said, I think they go lower. And she is going to go lower. But I've also heard that Trump has said that he has his own opposition research. Of course he does. He's not a stupid guy. Some of which he had originally refused to use as it was so bad. Same as he basically said in the first debate. There were some things he wasn't going to say with Chelsea and Slick Willie in front of him. So he's refused to use it to date. But he says that he feels he will be forced to do so if Clinton keeps up these negative personal attacks. And of course, the interesting thing is, with the GOP in many ways cutting him loose, Paul Ryan saying, okay, he's not going to support him, he's not going to campaign with him, but he still has his endorsement for the moment. Of course, with some of the things that Trump said recently, that could change as well, but we'll see. But I think a lot of that very bad opposition research that Trump had been talking about, he had probably been asked not to use by the GOP. Because remember, the GOP and Romney as well, when he was trying to fight Obama, but especially now, I'm sure the GOP have been saying to the Trump campaign, well, don't say anything nasty about Hillary, because she's a woman and then you'll get accused of being anti-woman. No, I don't think Trump is anti-woman. He's anti the candidate that's going to be bad for the USA. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't see that she will be bad. Now, maybe they will see, because WikiLeaks seems to be dumping the October surprise for which we have been waiting. And boy, is it a powder keg. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, with the LSM so in the tank for Hillary, I don't think it would have the effect that we would like. They're going to screen the worst part of it from the low information voters, maybe all of the parts, and ensuring that their chosen one does not stumble on her way to the White House. But she should stumble. She shouldn't stumble. She should end up flat on the ground, probably with a couple of zip ties around her hands as well, as they pick her up and then take her for a perp picture. I mean, if you see some of the things coming out of the WikiLeaks, the first ones that came out, they said, oh no, these are probably not true. They've given up on that pretense. And now all they can say is, well, this is the Russians trying to influence our election. Does accusing Donald Trump of personal things, is that not trying to influence the election? And whether or not the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, or even some hacker in Hoboken sitting in his parents' bedroom managed to get those emails out, does that matter? It's the content of the emails that matters, don't you think? And that content is very, very damning for Hillary. But will the American public take note of it? I'm beginning to lose my faith in the American public. I think we can say it looks as though they may get what they deserve. Okay, folks. Quickly before the next commercial break, Paul has arrived. Another regular listener has arrived in the chat room. So thanks for checking in, Paul. Thanks for coming and letting us know you're here. Very happy to see you. let's go to the commercial break, and I will be back very shortly after this particular message.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
This is Stefan, your Patriot come lately, proud to be on Red Nation Rising Radio. These can be dark and depressing times, but Main Street USA finally has a competitive voice to traditional mainstream media outlets. And it's screaming at all hours, 24/7, we want our country back. America, it's time to wake up, expose the regressives, and keep listening to the new dominant force in conservative internet talk radio, the Red Nation Rising Radio Network, powered by ICRN.
Not too long ago, it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank, didn't it? For a vacation or a new car. But today, withdrawing your own cash has become risky. Pat Boone here for Swiss America. According to The Secret War, a new Swiss America white paper, I learned that all banks are now required to spy on you and me for the government, and then report any financial behavior deemed suspicious or unusual. You must read The Secret War. It's free. Truth is, I believe the government's new war against cash is really a war against us all. But the secret is now out. So please, get and read The Secret War.
Call 800-516-3405. 800-516-3405. 800-516-3405. Call right now. That number again is 800-516-3405.
You're listening to Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patriotcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, folks, we're into the second half of the show. No music tonight. Got a lot of things to talk about. Couple of things still related to the campaign, and then I'm going to talk about some other topics. One more gripe about the GOP, and I think you can guess from this, I am really down on the GOP. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, the GOP is done. Whether Donald wins or not, or should I say whether Donald loses or not, I'm not very hopeful right now. Maybe we can pull off that miracle. I'm hoping, I'm praying, and I'm going to try and be positive because I know the power of positive thought. But with everything I see, it's very difficult. And so another gripe about the GOP. I've heard a number of pundits complaining about the fact that Trump has not actually built a ground game. And talking about the fact that he might get outmaneuvered by the Clinton machine. Now, is it just me? But shouldn't that be the responsibility of the party? The party should have a good ground operation ready and in place to support whoever gets the nomination. Or are they just too lazy and want to lose any way they can? I mean, I signed up for campaign activities online, locally, when they opened an office here. Never heard back from anybody as far as I know. Maybe I need to go back and check my spam folder or something, but I didn't hear anything. So, and people are saying, yeah, well, that's Trump's mistake. No. That should be in place well before any candidate gets chosen anyway. All they have to do is sort of do the branding. This is, Joe Bloggs and Mary Smith or Trump, Pence or whoever it is that's the nominee, and they should be able to swing into action. Instead, they kind of fiff and faff and mess around and don't have anything in place, while the Democrats spend 4 years, and the 4 years before that, and the 4 years before that, building a whole network and getting everything prepared. I mean, it is no wonder we're in the situation that we're in. Okay, another topic I want to get to now. Let's get out of the campaign one, but it is political, as most of my topics are, and it concerns discussion around capitalism in America today. A lot of people say, "Well, see, look at the huge differences between the very rich CEOs and hedge fund managers and whatever, and everyday people." True capitalism would not allow that to happen. But what we have today in America isn't true capitalism. It's actually corporate cronyism, where these large companies cozy up to the government and are able to get laws and benefits arranged for them that we, the ordinary people, cannot. Here are some examples. The CEO of American Airlines, Douglas Parker, took home about $17.7 million in total compensation in 2013. His company received a $22 million tax refund. A $22 million tax refund. Yeah, because American didn't have a lot of income on which they could pay taxes, because the pre-tax income in 2013 was negative $2 billion. So they pay their CEO $17 million. Another example, the big banks, JP Morgan Chase. It earned more than $17 billion in 2013 in pre-tax income. Their tax payment, in quotes, took the form of a $1.3 billion refund. As Donald Trump said, he took, and he was getting attacked on his taxes, or perhaps the possibility that he had not paid personal income taxes because of a loss. And he was open. He said, I take the law and I use it. I use the law as it is available today. He also said, the law is not right, it needs to be changed, and that's one of the things I want to do. But otherwise, if I didn't use it for my own effect, that would be bad. I wouldn't be supporting my family, I wouldn't be supporting my shareholders, and I wouldn't be supporting the people that work for me by paying more than I need to pay. So, talking about this, is it all above-board tax avoidance as opposed to unlawful tax evasion? Now, the thing is, when it comes to avoiding taxes, and avoiding taxes, remember, is legal, evading taxes is not. American corporations have what one commentator described as a veritable salad bar of helpful and legal techniques. Things like inversions, tax havens, tax write-offs, etc. But what's perhaps the worst are something called extenders, subsidies and tax breaks handed to them by Congress. Every year or two, with little or no debate, Congress votes to extend 55 of these tax breaks, with 80% of them benefiting corporations. So rather than handing out more perks through the tax extenders, maybe Congress should focus on cracking down on tax havens, eliminating wasteful corporate subsidies, and closing loopholes that encourage excessive CEO pay. Another example, Boeing. He took $23 million home last year. Well deserved, if you think that wrapping Uncle Sam around his finger is a good thing. Because Boeing received a tax refund of $82 million in 2013, while at the same time winning $20 billion in government contracts. So how do they get tax refund? Between 2008 and 2012, The company received $603 million in research and development subsidies. These are just subsidies. So they're getting all these subsidies and they don't pay any tax. I mean, it's just totally unbelievable. And what we have to remember, when the federal government pays, we all pay. Because, of course, the government is not using its own money, it's using our money. But these are the elected officials, the Washington, D.C. elitists, and we are the ones who end up with the bad taste in our mouth. Someone did the calculation. They reported that if 7 giant corporations, Boeing, Chevron, Citigroup, Ford, General Motors, JP Morgan, Chase, and Verizon, if they'd paid without any deductions the corporate tax rate of 35%, they would have owed $25.9 billion in a year. Instead, those 7 companies received a combined $1.9 billion in tax refunds. So that makes a difference of $27.8 billion. The question is rightly, what might have been? What could we do with that tax income? Hillyer railed on at Donald Trump the fact that he might have not paid personal income taxes, calling it unpatriotic and not supporting the military, not supporting teachers, yada, yada, yada. But what about these big companies? $27.8 billion. But of course, if we deduct all that tax from them, the writer of this article, it all sounds very good, but it's very left-wing. Because at the end of the line, these companies don't pay taxes. They just collect taxes, because whatever tax they pay gets filtered through to the end consumer, right? So if Verizon had to pay X billion dollars more in tax, don't you think that cell phone charges, telephone charges would go up? Of course. And think about that sometimes. When another lefty goes and says, oh, well, we're going to make corporations pay more. Think about that. They don't pay. You pay every time. And this is one of the things that I think people are missing out on. When Hillary says, well, I'm going to make everybody pay their fair share, and that way the middle class get a break. No, the middle class don't, because the middle class all use cell phones. So if you start taxing Verizon more, guess what's going to happen? Prices are going to go up. Then the government's going to get annoyed about it, and then they're going to institute price controls. And where are we? We're in a socialist, if not communist state. Absolutely disgusting that could happen. Okay. We're getting close to the final segment of the show. So before we go to the final commercial break, just a very quick fact check on the debate, because Hillyer wanted everybody to do fact checking. So someone did. She said, 400 pieces of legislation have my name on it as a sponsor or co-sponsor when I was a senator for 8 years. I worked very hard. Actually, she got the wrong number. She actually sponsored or co-sponsored 703 pieces of legislation. Now, as far as I can see, yeah, I watch TV and I watch the right programs as well. Sponsoring legislation a lot of the time just means attaching your name to the piece of paper. Doesn't mean any work at all. But anyway, she did that 703 times. Only 3 of those 703 bills became law. That's a batting average, if you calculate it out, of 0.004. Kind of moves her out of the major leagues and moves her way, way down into the minor leagues. Okay, folks. Time for our final commercial break. I will be back again after these messages and another sip of my beer.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more on your federal or state income taxes, I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. The IRS, with their Fresh Start initiative, is offering more flexible terms to Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. They can help you lift your wage garnishments, stop bank levies, and put your tax problem behind you once and for all. If you owe tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS or state, our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, we can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your debt for far less than what you owe. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
You're listening to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patrickcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, folks. One final quick topic. This is one of my things where I say, coming to a country city near you soon. In other words, this is something that is happening on the other side of the Atlantic. I'm going to be talking in a moment about Sharia law being part of the British legal system. However, before I do that, I want to play you a little audio. Have a listen.
Terrorism seems to be everywhere, and it's getting worse. The bad guys have lots of names: ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram. But they have one thing in common. They are all killing for a cause: Islamic law known as Sharia. Sharia is the implementation of medieval Islam. Sharia demands a holy war called jihad. The most widely available book of Islamic law in English says jihad means to war against non-Muslims. There are two kinds of jihad. Violent jihad is horribly simple: slaughtering innocents and forcing submission. Violent jihadists want to conquer land for their caliphate, essentially an Islamic state where Sharia law is supreme. But there is another kind of jihad. In their explanatory memorandum, the Muslim Brotherhood calls this civilization jihad, saying the Muslim Brotherhood must understand that their work in America is a kind of grand jihad in eliminating and destroying the Western civilization from within and sabotaging its miserable house by their hands and the hands of the believers. Civilization jihad has the same goal as violent jihad: to conquer land for their caliphate. But instead of waging war or staging terror attacks like their brothers in the violent jihad, these civilization jihadists wear suits and ties, and their work is much more subtle. So what do? They file lawsuits for Muslim truck drivers who don't want to drive beer. They convince schools to hold Muslim Day, where the girls wear headscarves and the kids say Muslim prayers. They complain when our government watches to see if their violent buddies are hanging out with them. They call anyone critical of Islamic law an Islamophobe, a term they invented to make people scared to speak out. Like the neighbors of the terrorists in San Bernardino, who knew something was wrong, but didn't want to say anything because they'd be accused of profiling. These bad guys have lots of names too: CARE, MSA, ISNA. The Justice Department found that these groups were in fact started by the Muslim Brotherhood. These groups like to say that terrorism has no religion, but only Islam has Sharia and jihad. Not all Muslims practice Sharia or support it, but an awful lot do. They believe that anyone who insults Islam can be killed. They believe that women are property, that gays should be killed, and that little girls should be mutilated and forced to marry old men they've never met. These things are simply not allowed in our free society and are against the Constitution. There are plenty of modern Muslims who want to live and let live, but unfortunately the groups that speak most often for the Muslim community follow the medieval version based on Sharia. They are working to make the U.S. more like the Caliphate. They have to go. Find out more and how you can help at counterjihad.com.
So, very interesting little thing, and as the guy said at the end there, go to counterjihad.com for more information. So what's happening in Britain? Well, the Law Society, which represents what in England we call solicitors, basically lawyers, has written a guide on Sharia succession rules with recommendation that it be used in British courts. The guide states no distinction is made between children of different marriages, but illegitimate and adopted children are not Sharia heirs. New guidelines for drawing up wills based on Sharia principles have also been released. The male heirs in most cases receive double the amount inherited by a female heir of the same class. I mean, talk about discrimination. Non-Muslims may not inherit at all, and only Muslim marriages are recognized. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. The Law Society claims the guide is simply to promote good practice and support members so they can help clients from all backgrounds. But there should be no place in any law for these kinds of things. Let's face it, folks. This shows you, people talk about us being anti-religion when we're anti-Muslim. But if it has all these ideological, if it has all these legal things about it, it is no longer a religion. It is a political ideology. And just like we rejected communism in the 50s, we should be rejecting this here as well. Okay, folks, it looks like we have come to the end of the line. It is time for me to say TTFN. It's been fun. Please join me again next week. Remember, 3 weeks to go. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.